Hello and welcome to the Gaggle Wobble Challenge. And if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today, of course, is a co-founder of the Gaggle, Peter Lavelle. So, Peter, as we know, relations between Ukraine and Hungary are not exactly warm and cordial. In fact, they get deteriorate by the day. And the latest crisis in Hungarian-Ukrainian relations. We had the spy scandal, and then we had the scandal of a ethnic Hungarian being beaten to death because he didn't want to be mobilized into the army, and of course we have the continual problems of Hungary's absolutely categorical rejection of Ukraine's EU aspirations. But the latest problem has been Ukraine's attacks on the oil pumping station on the Druzhba oil pipeline. Now, the
And,
oil
and,
pump,
and, and Druzhba, everybody means friendship. So,
exactly, Druzhba is a friendship, exactly. So, the oil pumping station is actually in Bryansk. It's in the Russian territory, and the crude oil going through the Druzhba pipeline is really Hungary's only source of oil and Slovakia's only source of oil. So when the EU imposed sanctions on Russia very early on, they said that everybody will be prohibited from importing any oil from Russia unless you're getting your oil through pipelines. I mean, unless, in other words, if you're a landlocked country and you have no other means of getting your oil other than through a pipeline, then the sanctions won't apply to you. And so Hungary, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic got this carve out. Um, However, Ukraine has continued to attack the oil pumping station, and as a result, Hungary is not getting its crude oil, and that's very problematic. Hungary has no other means of getting its oil. Doing it via the Adriatic and then transporting it by truck from ports in Croatia. That's a huge undertaking. I mean,
that's a lot of trucks,
it's a
George.
lot of trucks, exactly. And the oil, the Hungary's refineries are really geared towards Russian crude. Now you can't just replace it with some other kind of oil. So when Ukraine attacks these oil pumping stations, and therefore interrupts oil flows into Hungary, that causes serious economic problems because at the moment, this latest attack, which happened today, that's basically means Hungary's not going to get any crude for who knows how many days until even if they repair it, and the Russians do work to try to repair it, even if it's repaired, what's to stop Ukraine from attacking it again the moment it's
Well,
repaired?
Ukraine has a very long history of disrupting oil flows to European countries. I mean, we go back actually after the so-called Orange Revolution to the Maidan coup, there was the pipeline wars, okay? And the Druzhba pipeline was built by the Soviet Union, and as a successor state, that is Russia's, okay? And they're the ones that designed it and build it, and they know how to maintain it. And the Ukrainians have this unique ability in the world to destroy things like that. Not only do they siphon off oil illegally, that is oil that has already been purchased by European consumers. And so, of course, Zelensky is intentionally upping the ante here. Okay. And we all know, because George, you live there, Hungary's not the favorite country of the European elites.
Exactly. And if you look at the some of the tweets that have been sent out by Peter Szijjártó, Hungary's foreign minister. So here, this was a few days ago, because now there've been, I think, three attacks really in the last 2 weeks. He says yesterday, Ukraine once again attacked the oil supply route to Hungary. Today, together with Pavel Sorokin, Russia's deputy minister of energy, we reviewed the situation. He informed me that repair work is underway, so there's a good chance that oil deliveries to Hungary will resume tomorrow. Once again, it must be clear Hungary's energy security is a matter of sovereignty. Whoever attacks our energy security is, in fact, attacking our sovereignty, which, of course, is the general idea.
Well,
Um,
I mean, energy security is the ultimate security in our day. And I mean, because Hungary is not geared up to fight a war with
no,
anybody,
no,
okay? And so if you don't have energy security, you don't have security at all.
right, exactly, exactly.
And I'd like to point out to everyone, Hungary's paid for this.
Yes,
It's their oil.
that's right. That's right. Yeah. Um, now it's quite a. He says, and then again, then he says here we have overnight Ukraine launched a drone attack on a key distribution station of the Druzhba oil pipeline. Hungary is Ukraine's number one electricity supplier. Now, this is a very important point that I think 40% of Ukraine's electricity imports come from Hungary. Now, Hungary has threatened in the past to cut off Ukraine's electricity supplies, but that would be very problematic. I think that Hungary would really then have to up the ante, because this is part of the EU electricity grid, and that would bring it into conflict with the rest of the EU. But I guess if things continue to escalate, that could very well happen.
And
Um,
everyone, the backdrop of this here is that Ukraine wants to become part of NATO. And NATO's calling card is that our members do not go to war with
yeah,
each other. Okay. It's really quite interesting. You want to let this guy in the club, okay, that has a long history already of threatening the sovereignty of a NATO member. I
right.
mean, can you explain the logic behind all of this, George? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, yeah. I think I suspect. I might be, going out on a limb here. NATO may not be a peace-loving defensive organization, but
No, I
I
don't.
don't want to be peddling conspiracy theories.
George likes to think outside the box. Okay.
So it says there, Hungary is Ukraine's number one electricity supplier. Without us, the country's energy security would be highly unstable. Given this, the Ukrainian attack on the Druzhba pipeline, which supplies Hungary with oil and is vital to our energy security, is outrageous. We firmly call on Ukraine to stop endangering Hungary's energy supply and to stop attacks on energy supply routes leading to Hungary in a war we Hungarians have nothing to do with. This is very much Hungary continues to reply. This has nothing to do with us.
Which of course, the Hungarian, I'm sorry, the Ukrainians are hoping that Brussels will come out on their side.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
But there's a little wrinkle there because Orbán is pretty friendly with Trump. I'm not going to steal your
Exactly.
thunder.
No, but that's a very. I think I am absolutely convinced that this is being done. The Ukrainians are doing this in cahoots with Brussels, and
Of
I think
course.
they're doing it
Of
in
course.
order to cause economic problems for Hungary. There's an election next year.
Yeah.
Viktor Orban, he's underwater in the polls now. He has recovered in the past, but nonetheless, it's going to be a tough re-election fight for him. So causing economic problems is absolutely what you want to do in the run-up to the election. We always knew that Brussels would interfere in all sorts of ways in that election. They want to see the back of Orban. So if this is causing economic problems for Hungary, good. So much the better. They want Orban to be blamed for economic problems.
And this is also a message to Fitzo. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's right.
You mess with the bureaucracy, we will mess back with you. Okay.
That's right.
George is absolutely right. This is killing many birds with one stone.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right. Which is why Hungary has received a really cold shoulder from Brussels, despite its complaints.
So
Um,
an EU member, a NATO member, and it means cold shoulder.
that's right.
Okay.
That's
I
right.
thought, where is this one for all and all for one? But
Um, and then here it says, after I exposed the Ukrainian attack which cut off Hungary's oil supply, Ukraine's foreign minister lashed out at me, saying I should complain to Russia. Take it up with Russia.
I'm not really, I don't really, I'm still recovering from surgery. I don't follow that logic, but keep going.
Fact one. He says he seems to have missed the fact. Fact one: Russia has supplied oil to Hungary for decades via the Druzhba pipeline. This is in Hungary's interest. Um, and then fact two: Ukraine attacks this pipeline, and because of these Ukrainian strikes, oil supplies to Hungary are repeatedly cut off. This is the logic is impeccable. We're getting this oil, they're coming via the pipeline, as you said. Hungary has paid for this oil, and you're attacking the oil pumping stations, which is going to affect the flow of oil into Hungary. So it's you I'm taking this up with. This is against Hungary's interest. As Hungary's foreign minister, my mandate is clear. Hungary's interest comes first, period. And let's not forget, a significant part of Ukraine's electricity comes from Hungary. And then Siata writes again, Ukraine has once again attacked the oil pipeline leading to Hungary, cutting off supplies. This latest strike against our energy security is outrageous and unacceptable. And then Russian Deputy Energy Minister Pavel Sorokin informed me that experts are working to restore the transformer station essential for operating the pipeline. But for now, they cannot say when deliveries will resume.
Well, what I think Hungary should do, and I say this in absolute seriousness, they need to invoke Article 5 of the NATO treaty because their sovereignty is being threatened by a country outside of the alliance, and
Right.
that is Ukraine.
That's right.
Now, so when Article 5 is mentioned, let's think of the booty call that was in Washington, and everybody gets on Article 5, everyone gets on their
Right.
knees, okay? Well, let's invoke Article 5. Let's see what it really means to you, what collective security really means,
Right.
okay? You and I will not be surprised that they're going to be indifferent to it, and they are.
Completely. Completely.
Again, NATO is the problem. It
That's right.
is the poison,
That's right. That's
and it's
right.
being proven right
That's right.
here.
No, that's right. Because this affects Hungary and it affects Slovakia. Remember, at the start of the year, Ukraine simply cut off the flow of gas into Europe. So again, this was Hungary and Slovakia were still receiving gas from Russia via Ukraine. So Ukraine just simply cut that off as of December the 31st, which became a particular problem for Fitzo, because Hungary at least was getting its gas through the Turk Stream, going through the Balkans into Hungary. But Fitzo, he really didn't have any alternative supply. And when Fitzo brought this up with the EU, can you tell Zelensky to resume the gas flows? They said, nah, bit busy at the moment. And so that was a real problem for some time for Slovakia. It wasn't getting any gas. Um,
Wow,
and then
there's so many perks being part of NATO and the EU, is it?
that's right. That's
You'd
right.
think you'd have others would have your back. Well, it doesn't
That's
pan
not.
out that way.
No, it doesn't. Um, and for 3.5 years, Brussels and Kiev have tried to drag Hungary into the war in Ukraine. So notice Brussels and Kiev have tried to drag Hungary into the war in Ukraine. These repeated Ukrainian attacks on our energy supply serve that same purpose. Let me be clear, this is not our war. We have nothing to do with it. And as long as we are in charge, Hungary will stay out of it. Finally, a reminder to Ukrainian decision makers, electricity from Hungary plays a vital role in powering your country. And then and now they sort of wrote this letter. So this is they wrote this the other day together with Slovak Foreign Minister Juraj Blanar. We sent a letter to Kaja Kallas, or she'll be sympathetic, and the Energy Commissioner demanding that the EU Commission finally act against Ukraine's repeated attacks on the Druzhba oil pipeline. In just a few weeks, this vital pipeline has been attacked for the third time, and now oil deliveries to Hungary and Slovakia will stop for at least 5 days. Let's be clear, with these attacks, Ukraine is not primarily hurting Russia, but Hungary and Slovakia.
Yep.
The Druzhba pipeline is indispensable for our energy supply. Without it, providing oil to our countries is physically impossible. Such attacks are a direct and unacceptable assault on our energy security. I mean, and that's the point. There really are no other alternatives. Getting your oil via the Adriatic and through Croatia. I mean, that's not in any way a viable solution.
Well, and on top of that, George, they weren't designated consumers of that energy.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
So, a lot of people don't understand is that when oil and gas is going through pipes, it's already paid for.
Right.
It's not like it goes into a pool. Oh, here's your chunk and here's your chunk. No, 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 no. These are long-term contracts.
Right.
Okay. And Russia says it's yours. We're going to get it to market here, and then you have a third party saying, "No, we're gonna blow up that
Right.
arrangement here." With Turkstream and all of that, or in some cases, this is years from now. It's already been purchased. Contracts are already out there. You just can't suddenly, oh, let's just turn it around and let's move it. No, that's not how energy routes work.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Um, and yeah. So here, back in January, the EU Commission pledged in writing to act against such attacks. Yet after all three strikes, it has remained silent. Huh. Who'd have thunk? Taking no steps to defend the energy supply of member states. Brussels must understand. They are the European Commission, not the Ukrainian Commission. I guess I don't think Brussels has ever quite grasped that point. I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fly in the ointment, and I don't want to spend any time on it because it could just be a red herring. But some Ukrainian apparently has been arrested, what, in Italy, being involved in the Nord Stream pipeline.
That's right.
Everybody's going to get their hair on fire on that, which
Right.
I'm not because I need more evidence. I think it's part of a cover-up personally.
I
But anyway.
I think so too. I don't think this thing is going to go anywhere. That this whole
Yeah,
thing,
but it's getting a lot of press, but not this story.
not this. Yeah, yeah,
A real story.
that's right. Um, and then here's the letter. And here's Excellencies. In its statement issued on January the 27th, the European Commission stated that the integrity of the energy infrastructure supplying EU member states is a matter of EU security. Well, when they said that, they only meant, of course, when they claim that Russia is threatening our energy security. They didn't mean Ukraine attacking Russian pipelines. That's not the point. And called on all third countries to respect this. The communication also emphasized that the Commission is ready to take measures to protect critical energy infrastructure, such as electricity cables and oil and gas pipeline or facilities. But they only meant that from Russian threats. I mean, that's what they mean. I mean, they don't mean any threats from Ukraine.
George, just a point of order here. HE, Her Excellence?
Um,
Who
I
called?
guess that is, yeah, Her Excellency.
How is she excellent? I mean, it's very aristocratic, isn't it?
Yes, yes, that's Her
I mean,
Excellency.
do I have to say Your Excellency? Do I have to say that when I meet her? Or
Yes, you do. Yes, Your Excellency. Yes.
well, I'm sorry.
You're not gonna say it?
Of course not.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
I get on my knee for God, and that's it. Okay. No
But the
mortal.
interesting thing is, do you retain that title after you've ceased
Oh,
holding that
I'm
post?
sure in this case it'll be.
Yeah, you continue to be Your Excellency.
Oh God. Okay. Well, welcome back to serfdom. Here we go.
That's right. And then we regret to inform you that during the last days, Ukraine has carried out 3 attacks against the Druzhba oil pipeline, which plays a crucial role in the energy security of Hungary and Slovakia. These attacks resulted in the suspension of oil deliveries to both of our countries. As a consequence of the latest missile attack, deliveries seem to be suspended for at least 5 days. The physical and geographical reality is that without this pipeline, the safe supply of our countries is simply not possible. And given that in the past years, the EU and member states have provided hundreds of billions of euros worth of support to Ukraine, we find Ukraine's actions, which severely threaten the energy security of Hungary and Slovakia, completely unacceptable. To this end, we strongly call on the Commission to immediately uphold the commitments outlined in the above-mentioned statement and guarantee the safety of energy supply of its member states.
It's really sad that they had to write a letter as if, they didn't know about it. Okay. I'm sure
Yeah,
they did.
yeah.
I'm gonna start referring to George as His Excellency. I mean, if they could,
I like that. I would like that.
yeah, like,
Now, this is very interesting because um, the commission absolutely couldn't care less because they're really happy. I mean, Fitzo and Orban, I mean, they detest both of them. And if it's causing them problems, then I think, well, what do we care? Good. We want you to have problems, and in particular, you've got this election coming up, and we might be fortunate to see the back of you next year. So I don't think they're going to do a great deal to help out. But as you said, there is a fly in the ointment, and the fly in the ointment is Viktor Orban's friendship with Donald Trump. And so Orban wrote to Trump about this. And here it is. It's a little hard to see. This is Viktor Orban says 5 days ago, just before the historic meeting between President Trump and Putin in Alaska, Ukraine carried out drone strikes on the Druzhba oil pipeline in Russia. This pipeline supplies Hungary and Slovakia, two countries that have no other means of importing crude oil. Hungary supports Ukraine with electricity and petrol. In return, they bomb pipeline that supply us. Very unfriendly move. We wish President Trump every success in his pursuit for peace. And here underneath, handwritten by
I've never seen this before.
I haven't either. And it's funny he writes in sort of block letters. He doesn't.
Yeah, now we know where the caps come from.
That's
Okay.
right, Victor. I do not like hearing this. I am very angry about it. Tell Slovakia, you are my great friend, Donald.
Few people have gotten such a greeting.
I think so. And he signs it Donald. It's not just simply, from the President of the United States. He signs
That's
it
not
Donald.
an auto pen, everyone.
Yeah. Now, where that goes, I don't know. But nonetheless, that is certainly something that he can wave and say, look, this is from the President of the United States himself. He's not happy. I do not like hearing this. I'm very angry about it. And then tell Slovakia, you are my great friend. This is the part where I'm a little confused. Why does he have to tell Slovakia, you're my great friend? I mean, I don't. Does he mean tell Ukraine you? I just don't know why he put that in. But nonetheless, that could be a way out for Hungary. I'm not, I don't know, but at least something.
It's worth pondering anyway. Okay. I mean, I've never seen him. I don't know. Does he send messages to European leaders? I have no idea, but I've never seen to this extent the level of familiarity and warmth. Okay, he's
No,
not writing this to Macron,
no,
everybody.
he does not. No, he does not. But he does, I think, remember loyalty. Orban stuck by him during his worst, the lowest points of his career, 2021 through to 2023, when it seemed like he was finished, and beset by all this legal warfare. So Orban stuck by him. So I think he appreciates that loyalty. Um, but I don't know. I mean, if he asks Vance, I can see Vance picking up the phone, calling somebody in Brussels, saying, the president is very unhappy about this. You really need to address this issue. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
Trump himself isn't going to do it, but Vance, why not? What else is he going to do?
well, if the Europeans want to have a place at the table, then they have to look at it's not Brussels. Well, they think it is, but it has to be part of all members here. So I mean, I would hope that JD Vance would say, "Hey, what are you doing? Well, this
Right.
is making things worse, not better."
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, this is supposed to be kind of, the Western alliance, where, and so on, the Western values, and you're working against the interests of of one of your members, and
Yeah,
particularly somebody who's a friend of the president.
well, we mention it, but we never take it very seriously. Ukraine will never be in NATO, and it will never be in the European Union.
No, I don't think so.
But Brussels uses these two issues as a
Right.
cudgel against its own members.
Right. Right. Exactly. Um, so
I mean, but if by the time the Ukraine gets into the EU, it won't be the EU that exists today.
right,
Okay.
right, right. Yeah. Um, because even if Orban disappears from the scene, it's still going to be a problem to get Ukraine into the EU. There's going to be, Poland isn't going to be happy about getting Ukraine into the EU. It's going to be other countries that say, no, we're not going to do that.
Austria, I mean, it's an agricultural country. And, we don't know what Ukraine's future borders will be, but I can tell you it will not have large industrial sectors. That's in the east. That's already gone.
Right.
Okay. So Ukraine is with a limited population. It's an agricultural country. George, Hungary, Slovakia, Poland,
Yeah.
Austria, France.
They're all
They're not
agricultural.
going to put up with
Right,
no
right.
way.
Exactly. They don't need any additional agricultural produce. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but so this kind of an interesting development, and but I think what is significant is that EU and Ukraine working together to attack Hungary against one of an EU member state and NATO member state,
A
and see,
democracy. A
yeah,
democracy.
exactly, in order to have a regime change, which is that's what the EU specializes in. That's their particular thing, that
And
regime change.
the EU and NATO show their true face.
Right.
Okay, it's our way or the highway. Okay. I mean, they don't want any gray areas. Look what they're doing to Serbia. Okay, it gets very little coverage. Okay,
Mhm.
but the Rent-A-Crowd crew is in full force. Okay, we see elections coming up in Moldova again, and we saw
And,
what they
and
did.
and in the Republika Srpska in Bosnia and Herzegovina, they just removed the
Yeah,
elected president of the Republika Srpska. It's just been removed from office. He was elected to office. He was just simply removed by fiat, or in the name of the rule of law. When in fact these people, the EU, the Office of the High Representative of Bosnia and Herzegovina, exact opposite of the rule of law. They are the enemies of the rule of law. But you never get any of that in the media. The media just mindlessly regurgitates this kind of NATO propaganda.
exactly. Let's see where this goes. This might be an interesting card that Trump may play. Okay, as we're going to continue today, the so-called peace process, well, it's taking some very weird turns. I don't take any of it seriously, and I don't want to spoil the next video we're going to make. But this is very telling. Hungary is a test case. Okay, Hungary in the EU and NATO test their diversity, which they don't have,
Yeah.
tolerance, which they don't have.
Yeah.
These are super international organizations, and the individual constituent pieces don't have a say at all. Remember when Merz was pleading with the Brussels, don't make sure that you can control our energy policy. I want it to be out of my hand. What rational
That's good.
sovereign leader talks
Good.
like that?
Uh,
Okay.
exactly. Exactly.
All right, everybody, we're going to keep an eye on this story. I vicariously have a soft spot for Hungary because George is there.
Thank you
Okay,
very much. Yes.
and I should, Your Excellency, excuse me.
Exactly. I prefer that. Yes.
Okay. Oh, this was an excellent. This was a perfect podcast. It was perfect. Okay. All right, everybody. This is the Gaggle with Peter and George. We're on Locals, so please go to thegaggle.locals.com. This is Friday. We're doing our Friday wrap blowout.
Yes, that's right. So you always remember at this time the dogs, because the dogs, they're getting very frustrated and angry that their voices are not being heard, and their voices are always along the tip jar, tip jar, tip jar. They feel, hey, you know, is there anything about the words tip jar that you don't
I think they
understand?
understand. I think they understand a tip jar now.
Yeah, exactly. But I think they want to know whether the audience understands. Tip jar. Is that how difficult is that to grasp? That's the way the dogs reason. So if you have money lying around, not doing anything, all of it straight into the tip jar. Gold, silver coins, they're just lying, just without, quite uselessly, boom, into the tip jar. We're very grateful for all of your help, friendship, and support. The more you're able to donate, the more of these videos we can make, the more we can improve the technology. And above all, we won't have the sort of the dogs condescending to us, sort of say, just focus. So remember, if you like the gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye-bye.